Joining the United fleet every week, decked out with Bluetooth connectivity, screens, and power at every seat, and bigger overhead bins to fit everyone's carry-on, or giant foam fingers. Download the United app and book your next trip today. United Airlines, proud to be the official airline of the Golden State Warriors.
15 years ago, PG&E launched Power Pathway, an education and job training program developed to increase the number of skilled workers in the energy industry. Since then, 85% of the graduates have been hired by PG&E or the construction utility industry. Focusing on students in underserved communities, women, and military veterans, Power Pathway is helping the next generation of PG&E energy professionals build a better future for themselves and a clean energy future for California. To learn more, visit pge.com/powerpathway.
History's masterpieces wouldn't be the same without their most notable accents. Neither would the Kia Sportage without its multiple drive modes. The Kia Sorento without its expansive 12.3-inch panoramic display. Or the Kia Telluride without its 3 rows of spacious seating. The Kia SUVs. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-333-4KIA for details. Always drive safely. Limited inventory available.
Being in your bag isn't just for players on the court. With DoorDash, all of Dub Nation has a bag too. Scrolling late night highlights? Have snacks on hand. Hosting a watch party? Get drinks, ice, and cups before tip-off. Low battery during tunnel walks? There's a charger delivered to where you are. DoorDash keeps your bag deep so you can keep up with the speed of the game. DoorDash, official partner of the Golden State Warriors.
The lights, the crowd, the moment. When the Warriors take the floor, greatness follows. At Cache Creek Casino Resort, every moment shines. Feel the rush as the reels spin. Breathe in our serene spa. Savor each bite in our award-winning steakhouse. And recharge in the comfort of our luxurious hotel. Cache Creek Casino Resort, proud partner of your Golden State Warriors. Please play responsibly.
Say you're a coach in Chase Center and need to draw up a last-second play. Or you're a fan in Section 212 craving nachos. AI from Google Cloud can help with both. The Warriors are using AI from Google Cloud to break down every move on the court, helping coaches game plan. And for fans, the same AI powers the mobile app, giving you personalized content, highlights, and yes, nachos ordered from your phone. With AI, you're always in the game, even off the court. Google Cloud, the official AI partner of the Golden State Warriors.
The Curry pump fake, flyby, 3-ball, got it with the buzzer sounding!
You've been listening to Golden State Warriors basketball on the Warriors Radio Network. Presented by United Airlines. For tickets, visit Warriors.com or call 888-GSW-WHO.
Don't you wish you were here?
This Odyssey Sports broadcast was presented by ZipRecruiter. Looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free.
A tough back-to-back for the Knicks. They lose last night in Sacramento, shooting 1 of 19 from 3. They lose Jalen Brunson. The Warriors can't worry about anybody else, though. They've got their own business to take care of, and they're 4 games above 500 with a 126-113 victory over New York. And a chance, set themselves up with a chance to sweep the season series. These two teams will meet at Madison Square Garden coming up in March.
Yeah, welcome in. It's Warriors wrap-up on 95-7 The Game. Warriors get another win, this time 126-113 over the Knicks. Welcome in. Mark Randy with you here at Kaya by Burma Love at Thrive City as we react to this Warrior win over the Knicks. Again, right here on Warriors wrap-up. If you are in the area, you were at the game, you can stop by, grab something to drink, grab something to eat real quick here at Kaya by Burma Love. Special hours tonight. They're open until 11 o'clock, and the place is packed. The bar bar is packed specifically, so you can stop by and grab yourself a drink before you head on home after watching a nice Warrior win. Again, final score 126-113 over the Knicks. This was a strange basketball game in the sense that the Warriors were down by 17 points very early in this game. The Knicks led immediately, and they got off to an incredible start to open up this basketball game. They were up 31-14, about 4.5 left in the first quarter, so the first 7.5 minutes they dominated. The Warriors, their offense was not bad by any stretch. They just weren't making a couple of shots. They did commit a couple of turnovers that hurt them early, but the Knicks could not miss 31 points in the first 7.5 minutes of this basketball game. They were 11 of 16 from the field, 5 of 6 from downtown, and some of those turnovers I mentioned for the Warriors, 4 of them, it led to 11 Knicks points early on in that first quarter. The Warriors, though, the rest of the way after that, they controlled the basketball game, and they ultimately win by a final score of 126-113. I thought Jimmy Butler was the best player on the floor all game long. 32 points in this one. He got up 22 shots. Oftentimes when you see Jimmy get up into the 30s, it's because he made, maybe 15 free throws. That was not the case in this one. He was 3 for 5 from the free throw line, but he got 22 shots up. He made 14 of those 22. He finishes again with those 32 points. That was a game high for either team. Leading the way for the Knicks was a couple of players, Miles or Deuce McBride and OG Anunoby, both who had 25. Stephen Curry had 27 for the Warriors. As far as Steph 27-point games ago, this was a relatively quiet one. He had like an 8-0 personal run in the fourth quarter that kind of put this game out of reach initially. Besides that, it wasn't a ton from Steph Curry. He had, again, kind of a quiet 27, if that's even possible. He was efficient as well. 10 for 17 from the field and 4 for 9 from downtown. Was 0 for 5 from deep in the first half. He was a perfect 4 for 4 from deep in the second half, including a couple of really big ones in that fourth quarter. But Jimmy was the star tonight for the Warriors. 32 points, had 8 rebounds, had 4 assists. And when the Warriors were really struggling early in this game, it was him that turned things around. The Warriors down 17. As I mentioned, it was 31-14 with about 4.5 left in the first quarter. What happens at that point? Well, you can kind of sense that Jimmy tells himself, okay, my team needs me. I'm going to put the cape on, and I'm going to lead us back. And that's exactly what happened. So the Warriors, they closed that first quarter. Again, after getting down 17, it was 31-14. After that, they closed the first quarter on a 16-4 run. So they got back to, at the end of the first quarter, trailing by just 5 at 35-30. And a lot of those 16 points on that 16-4 run was Jimmy Butler. He caught an alley-oop from Al Horford. Next possession, an and one putback after a Melton miss from in close. And then the very next possession, he stole the ball at half court and had a fast break bucket. That's 7 points in the blink of an eye. That got the Warriors back within 5, a minute to go in the first quarter. They traded a bucket here or there to close the quarter, and it's only a 5-point game. It was a big stretch for the Warriors right there in that moment because you're down 17. The Warriors have not been a good first quarter team so far this season, and you're in danger of not just letting the game get out of reach. You're in danger of letting it, just end early. And Jimmy Butler scores 7 quick to get the Warriors back in it. The Warriors close again on that 16-4 run, and they then use that to go into the second quarter when they outscored the Knicks 32-24, and they took a 3-point lead going into halftime. That stretch for me at the end of the first quarter, the most important stretch of this game for the Warriors. Then in the second quarter, they got their 3-point shot going. The Warriors making a ton of threes in this one. They finished tonight 20 for 45 from downtown, and that's where the Warriors got so many contributions tonight. I mentioned Steph, who made 4 threes. He was a perfect 4 for 4 in the second half. He was 0 for 5 in the first half. How the hell were the Warriors up at half against the Knicks when Steph was 0 for 5 from downtown? He only had 9 points. He had 3 turnovers in the first half. At halftime, I believe he was a minus 11 in the plus-minus, a -9 in the plus-minus, Steph was in the first half, yet the Warriors led. That is exceedingly rare, where the Warriors struggle when Steph is on the floor, but they are good enough when he's off the floor to overcome that and actually have a lead. And that's what this first half was. You can thank Moses Moody for that. Moses Moody and his three-point shooting. He was amazing in this game. He goes 7 for 9 from downtown. He made 3 in the first quarter. Made a couple more in the one more, I think, in the second quarter. But he was the reason why the Warriors weren't down by 25 in the first quarter, because really the Warriors' only offense early was 3 Moses Moody threes. I mentioned that 17-point deficit. It was 31-14. Without Moses Moody shooting there, they might have been down 31-5. That's how bad the Warriors were playing for the most part in that first quarter. Moses Moody kept them within striking distance. Then Jimmy Butler brought them back, and then everybody kind of came along for the ride in the second half. The Warriors ultimately win this game 126-113, but you got contributions from really everybody up and down the roster. Moses Moody deserves a ton of credit. I thought Podziemski had himself one hell of a game. Of course, Jimmy Butler was the best player on the floor all night long. Steph Curry, again, 27 points. You're not going to scoff at that. It wasn't like your classic Steph explosion, but you look up and he's at 27 points, and you kind of say, wow, how the hell did he do that? That's impressive, because it didn't really feel all that loud, but he was still very good, specifically in the second half. Melton didn't have his shot going, but he was out there on the floor in the 2 most important runs of the game, and that was to close the first quarter, and then I think it was to seal the game down the stretch when the Warriors turned to him alongside Steph, alongside Podziemski, alongside Jimmy Butler, and alongside Draymond Green to close this game down, and that unit did get the job done. You got 32 points from Jimmy, 27 from Steph, 21 from Moses Moody, all on three-pointers, 7 for 9 from deep, 19 from Podziemski, and that was enough. That was enough, and the Warriors ultimately win this game 126-113. The Knicks' defense was abysmal in this game. The Warriors took advantage. They shoot 54% from the field. They made 20 of their 45 threes. That's 44% from downtown. They could not miss from the outside, and as a result, they win this one. Again, the final score, 126-113. I thought that the turnovers kind of were the story of this game as well. Turnovers really hurt the Warriors early in this game. They committed 4 turnovers in the first quarter, and then they committed 4 more in the second quarter, so they had 8 turnovers at halftime, and they were losing that turnover battle at the half, and then they buckled down, and in the second half, they only turned the ball over 4 times. And as a result, the Warriors, they win that second half by 10 points when they only committed 4 turnovers. Meanwhile, the Knicks in the first half committed 6 turnovers, and in the second half they committed 6 as well. Turnovers over the course of the entire game were even, but the point is for the Warriors, they have been really, really good of late, honestly, of getting good looks. Creating good shots, and not just for anybody. We've been talking about this a lot on Warriors wrap-ups of late. Not all created open looks, not all open looks are created equally. Even if you earned the open look, it matters who is taking them. And I think of late, specifically these last a handful of games at home, even the Atlanta loss, which was really deflating for the Warriors, they were creating good looks. Same thing happened against Portland. The only difference was they made the open looks versus Portland. They missed them versus Atlanta. Tonight, they got these open looks again, and they made them. And you got 7 makes from Moses Moody, and a lot of those threes were wide open. One of them, he got a little lucky. It bounced high off the rim into the air and then through the net. But for the most part, his three was looking really good and pure and smooth. And then Curry made 4 threes. You got a couple of makes from Podziemski and a number of different dudes all chipped in. I mean, how many Warriors made a 3 tonight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different Warriors made a 3 tonight. I believe versus Portland, 11 different Warriors made a 3. So the depth of this team has been on display of late, and it's why it kind of felt like in the second half. I know there were a couple of moments here and there where it felt like this was kind of flipping back towards the Knicks, but it never really felt like the Warriors were in gigantic danger in the second half. There was one stretch where there was an Anunoby 3 that we thought just beat the shot clock buzzer in the fourth quarter, and then he had, I think, an and one a little bit later. If the 3 counted, it would have been a 5-point game, Instead, they took the 3 off the board, and the Warriors were up by 8. And then that's when Steph got going and took this game over in the fourth quarter. He hit a mid-range jumper, then consecutive step-back threes from the right wing. That put the Warriors back up 14. Jimmy Butler later hit a 3. Warriors go up 17. Wasn't quite ball game at that point, but you felt pretty good at that point, up 17 with about 5-6 minutes left. The Knicks did make a little bit of a push, but they never got back within 8 points, and the Warriors ultimately win by 13, 126-113. So this really was a team effort for the Warriors in this one, with those 32 points from Jimmy Butler and 27 from Steph Curry and 21 from Moses Moody and 19 from Brandon Podziemski. The Warriors did what they had to do tonight. This was a game where, you look at it just on the surface, you say, wow, the Knicks are in town coming into tonight 25-15, second seed in the Eastern Conference. This is going to be a challenging win. And if the Warriors were to win, this would be one of their more impressive wins of the season. Well, that's, on the surface. But if you look at the injury report, no Jalen Brunson, and no Robinson for the Knicks. They did not have their go-to scorer, their lead guard, the guy that's averaging nearly 30 points a game in Jalen Brunson, and Mitchell Robinson, not a big scorer, but one of the best interior defenders and one of the best rebounders, specifically offensive rebounders in the NBA. I would imagine he would have given the Warriors a problem had he played tonight, but neither of those guys played, and this Knicks team on a back-to-back. They were playing last night in Sacramento while the Warriors were relaxing on their couches at home watching that game. So the Warriors, they needed to win this game. No excuses. This is not the time for excuses for the Warriors. And while they did get behind early, they fall down by 17 early in the game. The rest of the game, they outscored the Knicks by 30 points. And that's a little bit more of what it should have looked like, and it's what it did look like for really the final 3+ quarters of this game, because the Warriors really turned this around right before the first quarter ended. So this is a game that you had to have, and you got it done. You are now 4 games above 500 for the first time this season at 23-19. And you've won 10 of your last 14 games. Don't look now. The Warriors are 10-4 in their last 14. That's a pretty good, solid stretch of play. And we're going to hear from Steph Curry coming up in a little bit. I know he was quoted post-game as saying, essentially, I really like where we are. He's a fan of the way that they're playing right now. We will hear that coming up in a little bit. I believe the quote was, I like where we are, where we're at. I like the vibes. I like how we're playing. And it's hard to deny that when the Warriors are 10-4 in their last 14 games. And what these last 2 games have I think shown for the Warriors is how you can really improve the way you feel about yourself if you just take care of the games that you should take care of. And again, at first glance, this is a Knicks team that should present the Warriors with a really big challenge, but considering the circumstances of tonight's game, this was one that you should win. And if you did not win, you were going to hear about it. The Warriors have made a habit this season of losing games to teams that are down stars. For example, in Milwaukee in October, they lost that game when Giannis did not play. Their very next game in Indiana versus the Pacers, they were down Halliburton and 3 other starters. The Warriors lose that game. Middle of November in Orlando, the Magic were down Banchero. The Warriors lost that game. Late November, just before Thanksgiving, Rockets in town here at Chase. The Rockets were down Durant. The Warriors lost that game. But the last 2 games for the Warriors, they have a couple of teams that were in town that were limping. The Trailblazers on Tuesday down Deni Avdija, down Jeremy Grant, but specifically Avdija, their MVP, a guy who's going to get MVP votes this season if he plays in the second half like he has in the first half. Warriors dominate that game. And then tonight versus the Knicks, they're down Jalen Brunson. He might get some MVP. He will get some MVP votes as well, assuming the Knicks are one of the better teams in the East when all is said and done, and I think they will be. And the Warriors take care of business, and they get this win as well. This is what it should be like if you're the Warriors. And in order to be a top 6 seed in the West, you don't have to have a great record versus the likes of OKC and Denver and some of the other top teams in the West. it would help, of course, but if you just beat the teams that are behind you that you should beat, like the Trailblazers, which you're 1-3 against so far this season, despite the win on Tuesday, and then you just take care of business in the games where the schedule and the injury report breaks your way. The Knicks on a back-to-back tonight and down Jalen Brunson and Mitchell Robinson. If you just take care of business on those nights, you're going to win a lot of basketball games and you will be a top 6 seed. And that's what the Warriors have done their last 2 games. They had not done it all season, really leading up to these last 2 games. But now you have, and Steph Curry's talking about how he likes where they are, he likes where they're playing, and he likes the vibe. Like, just handling business that, you should be able to take care of goes a long way in the NBA nowadays, considering how much load management there is, how many times stars are held out of games. This is what it should feel like. And there is no doubt that the Warriors are playing their best stretch of basketball all season. It's kind of strange, though, because interspersed in this 14-game stretch where they are 10-4, they do have a couple of really rough performances, right? Like that Clipper game in L.A. last week. That was a week and a half ago now on January 5th, a game they lose by 1 where they just completely lost track of how to play basketball at certain stretches in that game. They come roaring back down the stretch once they felt like they got hurt by some officiating decisions, which they did. They almost win that game at the buzzer. And then also at home on Sunday, 4 days ago, they lose to Atlanta by 13 points, but really it was more like a 25-point loss. The Warriors were not in that game. So they do have a couple of strange losses like interspersed in here. One of the others in this stretch is the Toronto loss in Toronto, where they had a lead late in the game and just kept turning the ball over, allowing Toronto to force overtime, and then Toronto ran away with it in overtime. Like, this is going to sound absurd, and every team can kind of pick through their schedule and say, well, that could have been a win, that should have been a win. If you just turn the Toronto loss into a win, which you're like one turnover away from that happening in Toronto on December 28th, instead of being 10-4 in these 14, you're 11-3. Like, that is a really, really impressive stretch of basketball. So I think the Warriors are on the right path. They are trending the right way. We'll see if they can keep it up. The schedule is going to change and get more difficult. They head back out onto the road. But overall, the final 41, now 40 games of the season, it still will be easier than the first 41 games of the season, because the Warriors have, first of all, they've already played more games than everybody else in the NBA, essentially, which means they're going to have more days off than other teams the rest of the season. And they are a team that even at this point, as we take a look at the NBA standings, the Warriors have played now even number of home and road games, 21 games at home and 21 games on the road. So the split home-road the rest of the year is even as well, but it is more spaced out than it has been at any other point of the season. So the Warriors, that's going to benefit them as well. The Warriors, I thought it was really interesting, the lineup that kind of turned this game around. It was for the Warriors at the end of that first quarter. Again, they got down by 17 points, and then they closed that first quarter. Make sure I get the run exactly right. They closed that first quarter on a 16-4 run, and it was led by those 7 consecutive points by Jimmy Butler. And before I get into this, I do want to remind everybody that if you want to join the conversation, you can do so by calling or texting 888-957-9570. Again, that's 888-957-9570. You can call that number and join the conversation here live on the air. You can also send us a text at 888-957-9570 on the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. I see the 408, I see the 360, I see the 415 and the 951 all chiming in. The 951 says, this is the Jimmy Buckets the Warriors expect to see the rest of the season to make a deep playoff run. He was great tonight. There's no doubt about that. 951, appreciate you. The 415 writes, Warriors are playing their best stretch of basketball, finding their identity. No doubt, they are playing their best stretch. They're 10-4 in their last 14 games. You can keep the comments coming there, again, either on the text line or over the phones at 888-957-9570. Also, you can join in on YouTube. youtube.com/957thegame. Join the conversation there. Let's see, who do I see? I got Theodore, I got Apollo, I got E. Gamere, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I see a Empire, I see a Moko Coco, I see a No, I see a Papusa, I see a few others as well. Appreciate the interactions on the YouTube chat as always. I do think it was interesting, the unit that turned this game around for the Warriors. And again, so much of it was Jimmy just saying, all right, I'm going to take over here. My team needs me. We're down 17. I'm in the game. I'm going to take over. So that's a big part of it. But the rest of the lineup, it's not as if they did nothing either. And the group of 5 the Warriors threw out there to close that first quarter that let the Warriors go on that 16-4 run to get within 5 after trailing by as many as 17 in the first quarter. It was Butler, obviously. And then it was DeAnthony Melton, Al Horford, Brandon Podziemski. So Melton, Horford, Podziemski, and Will Richard. That was the group. And for a little bit it was Guy Santos, but Guy went down with what looked like a pretty nasty ankle injury in that first quarter as well. He played just 4.5 minutes, and then he went down, and Will Richard came in for him. But it was Will Richard, Podziemski, Horford, and Melton. And then it was Jimmy Butler. And that's an interesting group of 5 that worked out. The first quarter was so awkward because the Warriors were terrible when Steph was on the floor, and the second he checked out, they go on a 16-4 run. How rare is that? Like, that doesn't really happen all that often. And it was because of Jimmy Butler taking over. It was because of Podziemski in that first quarter. He didn't really get his shot going at all. In fact, he didn't take a shot in the first quarter. But, man, he was doing all the little things in that first quarter. Fighting for every loose ball, fighting dudes that are 6 inches taller than him for every defensive rebound. He's diving on the floor for loose balls. He's making the skip pass. He's getting the hockey assist, if that was such a stat in the NBA. I thought he was phenomenal in the first quarter and great over the course of the entire game as well. And then you also had DeAnthony Melton, who's consistently driving and getting into the paint. Whether it results in him scoring or kicking it out to an open shooter does not really matter. He's creating advantages, and the Warriors in general are taking advantage of them. Guy Santos and his hustle, it's out there 24/7. You hope that he is okay because he has become a regular in the rotation. And Al Horford, I don't think it's been that quiet of late. Al Horford has, pretty loudly been a whole lot better the last week and a half, 2 weeks than he was for the majority of the first half of the season. So that second unit, I think, is really taking a leap forward. And if you were listening to Warriors Live before this game, you did hear me talk about Jimmy Butler leading that second unit. And when Butler is on the floor with that second unit while Steph is off the court, that's the opportunity for him to play alongside really capable players like Melton and Horford and make that unit so much better than I think it's really ever been in maybe the post-Kevin Durant era. Because whenever Steph is off the floor, if you didn't have Kevin Durant at the peak of his powers and prime Klay Thompson and prime Draymond Green, it was hard for the Warriors to just keep their heads above water when Steph was on the bench. But you get Jimmy along with a Melton that's playing really good basketball, a Horford that's playing good basketball. That frees up Podziemski to be able to be the dirty work guy with that unit, as opposed to being a guy that has to kind of drive the bus, which is not who he is, in my opinion, as a player. At least that's not his strength. But being up there with Jimmy and Melton and Horford allows Podziemski to kind of take that secondary role and be that dirty work guy, which is where he thrives. That second unit suddenly feels a whole lot better than I think it really ever has before with this iteration of the Warriors. So that end of the first quarter was really good to see, because I think it gives you some positive signs that you can not just survive, but maybe you can be in the positives when Steph is on the bench. And that's what I think we saw at times here tonight. All right, let's go out to the phone lines on Warriors Wrap-Up, 888-957-9570 if you want to chime in. And then we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll hear from some of the post-game sound here from Chase Center. I am with you at Kaya by Burma Love. They're open for another 20 minutes or so here tonight. If you want to stop by, grab something to drink or eat on your way out of the arena, you can do so. Plus, of course, this is a great place to stop by pregame for something to eat and something to drink as well. I'm going to tell you about something that I tried earlier today that you got to try for yourself. But for now, out to Chardol in Fremont, who wants to join the conversation. What's up, Chardol? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, Mark Grandy, it's great calling into 95.7 The Game. I'm a big fan of you. I listen to you on the radio while riding in the car. This was a great win for the Warriors. We took down the Knicks 126-113. Man, this was a really great win. We won by 13 points. I mean, like, the Warriors are just a good team overall, man. We're just a well-built team. We got Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, man. But it was a great win, but it's great calling tonight. Warriors wrap-up, and I'll definitely call in next time.
Appreciate the call, Shardo. Yeah, you're right. Very encouraging. Absolutely. You got a lot of contributions. And, like, I compare this kind of to the Hawks game, because the Hawks game, I think we kind of just write it off as the Warriors didn't have it that night, but you got 61 combined points from Steph and Jimmy in that game, and you were not even close. So the reality that I think is hitting the Warriors, and it's not the best reality, in fact, it's not a great reality, is even when your two stars are doing that and scoring 61 points. Now, maybe it wasn't those two's like their best all-around game, and maybe they weren't the most efficient. They were by no means like inefficient, but not as if it was each of their best games they've played all season, right? But you get 61 combined points from Steph and Jimmy. I would imagine if you tell Steve Kerr that you get 61 points from those guys, he would probably say, well, we're probably going to win most of those basketball games. Not just most, but maybe like 85% of those games. When those two guys both score 30, or they combine for around 60, you're probably going to win most of those games. He would probably be right. I would venture to guess that since Jimmy Butler has been acquired, when those two score 60 or more together, the Warriors probably are something like, I don't know, 8-1. I don't know how many times it's happened off the top of my head. It hasn't happened all that often, but I would venture to guess they rarely lose. But they were nowhere near in that basketball game. And that's just, I think, for that game specifically, a knock on all of the others. And no one else had any kind of shooting night. Moody didn't do much of anything. Post didn't do much of anything. Podziemski struggled in that game. You didn't get any offensive support really from Draymond in that game. Tonight, you still got really good performances from Steph and Jimmy. I mean, Steph scored 27. Jimmy scored 39. So 59 combined points, just 1 point off that 60-point plateau. But you got 21 from Moses Moody and 19 from Podziemski. It's those guys that make this feel different, right? Because what you got from Jimmy and Steph tonight is very comparable to what you got from them versus Atlanta. But Atlanta blew you out. And tonight, you didn't blow out the Knicks, but it was kind of teetering on that. And if you get off to an okay start, you probably do blow this team out on a back-to-back down Brunson. But the difference tonight was those others. It was Moody, and it was Podziemski hitting shots and playing really good all-around basketball. And as a result, the Warriors won this game 126-113. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll hear from Steve Kerr postgame. I know Steph talked postgame. If we have that, we'll listen to that as well. It's Warriors wrap-up here on 95.7 The Game. Plus, we do have to look around the NBA because there were a lot of scores. We are in, second half of the season. I know it's not the All-Star break, but mathematically, second half of the season tonight was game number 42. There's only 40 games left after tonight. The Warriors have played 42 games. There's 40 left. It's time to start scoreboard watching, and the Warriors got some help in the Western standings. We'll talk about that. We'll hear from Steph and from Steve and a whole lot more as we continue. And plus, I will tell you what you need to know about Kaya by Burma Love, which is where I'm posted up tonight for Warriors Wrap-Up. Appreciate everybody for setting me up. I got a heat lamp to my left. I got some nice warm tea to my right. What more could I want after watching the Warriors beat the Knicks 126-113? Back with more after this. It's Mark Randy with you, live from Kaya by Burma Love at Thrive City. Warriors Wrap-Up continues next on 95.7 The Game.
What's up, everybody? I'm Nick Costos, and watching sports isn't a hobby, it's a lifestyle. And my show is not a job, it's a passion. From the NFL playoffs to the NBA and everything in between, celebrate sports with me every day on You Better You Bet from 9 a.m. to noon Eastern. Download the Odyssey app now and listen to Westwood One Sports from anywhere. It's You Better You Bet with me, Nick Costos, live and interactive Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to noon Eastern, presented by BetMGM.
At Straight Talk, we get it. You say no a lot.
Mom, can I get a tarantula? No. Coffee?
No. So we're giving you more reasons to say yes, like a free 5G phone with real unlimited data with select plan activation.
Can I use the free phone?
Yes. See? Doesn't it feel good to say yes to more?
Absolutely. Face tattoo? Absolutely not.
Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Taxes and fees apply. In-store activation of Gold Unlimited plan or higher required. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Now it's time for the closer of the week. Presented by LiftMaster and RNS Doors. Turn your garage into the envy of the neighborhood. Visit rnsdoors.com.
This week's closer comes from Robert from Fresno. I had a good experience with Kim and Lauren when I scheduled the service. Plus, Marion explained the problem. He got it done in no time. Would recommend RNS Erection Tri-County Incorporated to everyone that has any problems with their roll-up doors.
Recently, my garage door opener was not working. I was in need of a closer. I was put in touch with RNS Doors and they hooked me up with a brand new garage door opener from LiftMaster. With LiftMaster's MyQ connectivity, my garage door opener can be controlled right from my smartphone. You'll know when a door or gate has been left open and can close it with a tap, no matter where I am. Be one of the first 10 callers and receive 20% off a LiftMaster garage door opener.
Call 1-800-FIX-A-DOOR. That's 800-FIX-A-DOOR. Or visit rsdoors.com. R&S Doors. Look for the red truck.
The Golden State Warriors are back, and there's nothing more refreshing than an ice-cold Surfside to enjoy while you cheer on your Warriors. Surfside is only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar, and 0 bubbles. That's right, no carbonation, so it's easy to sip and enjoy. It's not a seltzer, it's Surfside, proud partner of the Golden State Warriors. Sold in arena and at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877 Cars for Kids to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877 Cars for Kids. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org. Xfinity is the network you can rely on. Like a close friend who will give it to you straight. The friend who will tell you that new haircut, it's not great. Friends make sure friends get good haircuts. And Xfinity makes sure you get a good deal on Wi-Fi. Xfinity gives you reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi at our best price. Now through February 1st, get gig speed Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 whole years. No strings, no commitments. Just super fast, reliable gig speed Wi-Fi with our best equipment and unlimited data included. Save yourself from questionable decisions and save over Verizon and AT&T. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
All guests on 95.7 The Game appear on the River Islands guest line.
Dub Nation, this is Jimmy Butler, and you never know when I'll be on the River Islands guest line.
Dub Nation, this is Stephen Curry, and you never know when I'll be on the River Islands guest line. So make sure to keep it locked on 95.7 The Game.
River Islands in Lathrop is the best-selling master plan community in all of Northern California. With its lakes, parks, trails, and collection of new home neighborhoods, the good life can be your life. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands?
Flipped it over to Clarkson. Clarkson takes Pajemski down to the paint. Goes up, blocked by Horford. Grabbed by Pajemski. Out left to Melton. Melton, dribble drive. Euro steps in, goes up. His shot was partially blocked. Butler right there. Tipped it up, tipped it in, and he got fouled. Kolek pressured by Pajemski on the low look. Over to Bridges. Bridges, no look to Hart in the corner. Leaves his feet, pass up top, knocked away. It's a steal. It's Butler, pump fake, goes up and scores! Jimmy Butler low right with a bucket. Mike Brown wants to talk about it. It's a 13-2 Warriors run.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
That's what I call some producing right there. My guy Cam back in our downtown San Francisco studios heard me talking about Jimmy Butler willing the Warriors back from down as many as 17 in the first quarter. Jimmy went on a personal 7-0 run. Those last two buckets you heard were the final 5 points of that 7-0 run. The and one putback, and then the steal and a fast break bucket. That got the Warriors back within 5. Mike Brown, former friend Mike Brown, assistant coach of the Warriors, then the head coach of the Kings, now the head coach of the Knicks, called timeout. Warriors back within 5. Then they then dominate the second quarter. They take a lead going into halftime, and the rest is history. Welcome back. It's Warriors Wrap Up here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you, coming to you live from Kaya by Burma Love. Kaya by Burma Love, located in Thrive City's West Plaza next to Gott's Roadside, right across the way from Splash. The restaurant is the latest addition to the Burma Food Group, the team behind Burma Superstar, Teakwood, and Burma Love. They offer countless good options on the menu, both food and drink. What I tried earlier today, it was special for game days like today. Their Burma box, their Burma game day box. It's a choice of either curry or noodles with a side of rice, veggies, vegetarian samosas, and house tangy spicy sauce. So you get to customize it as well, and it's only $15. And I had one today. It's a lot of food. I mean, it kept me satisfied for a long time. It's a lot of food, only $15, and it's offered on game days. That is the game day Burma box. I recommend that. They got a full bar. This place is still packed right now, and it is late. It's almost 11 o'clock here on a Thursday, and this place is still popping. I do recommend giving it a try. Kaya by Burma Love at Thrive City, right next to Gott's, across the way from Splash. A great spot if you're headed into a game any day of the week to grab something to eat or drink on your way in, and who knows, maybe you can stop by on the way out as well. That's where I am right now, Kaya by Burma Love here in Thrive City. All right, Warriors, they win tonight over the Knicks. Final score 126-113, led by Jimmy Butler, who scored 32 points. He got 22 shots up. You know what? Let me look this up. Let's see what Jimmy's season high for field goal attempts is, because this has to be one of the highest for him. In the month of January, that is the highest. He had 19 attempts in that Atlanta loss where he scored 31 points. Let's see. He had 21 attempts in the win versus Phoenix on December 20th. That was the game where Draymond got ejected early in that game, and the Warriors ultimately win a narrow one. 21 attempts there, so 22 tonight, still the top mark. Let's see, the month of November, nothing in the 20s. Highest there was 16 field goal attempts in that loss in Orlando. That was the game I was talking about earlier when Paolo Banchero was not playing, and the Warriors still lost that game. What about in October? No, highest in October was 18 field goal attempts. That was also a game I was talking about earlier, the loss in Milwaukee when the Bucks were without Giannis. So tonight, season high in field goal attempts. And this was a kind of game where you can see Jimmy is, I was going to say so much better than oftentimes he looks, but that's not fair, because he's a much better scorer than the way he plays oftentimes. And that's not a knock. I'm not saying that as in he needs to do it more often. He just is the kind of guy where when his team really needs him to score, he can take over and he can impact that game that way. It's not the game that I think he ideally wants to play. It's not the way that he ideally wants to impact a game night in and night out. He does not want to take 20-plus shots every night and score 30-plus points every night. He wants to be maybe more around like 23 points a night and have 8 rebounds and 8 assists and set up his team and only turn the ball over once, right? And tonight was a game where he kind of said, all right, I'm going to take it upon myself to will us back and to control this game offensively by me putting the ball in the hoop. And that's what he did tonight. And then Steph came along for the ride in the second half. Steph in this game scored 27 points, 18 of which were in the second half. So without Jimmy in the first half, and At halftime, Jimmy had 15 points. The next best Warrior was Moody, who had 12 on 4 field goal attempts. All were threes. And then Pajemski had 10 at half. But Steph only 9 at half. If it was not for Jimmy Butler's 15 at half, if it was more of like the generic Jimmy game that you do get, which I know at times has kind of frustrated Warrior fans because sometimes you do want a little bit more aggression from him. But if you did not get that aggression from him tonight, you might have been down by 20 points in the first half at one point. It really was him that kind of turned this momentum around in that first quarter specifically, and it continued into the second quarter as well. And then he was great in the second half, and the Warriors ultimately used all those contributions from Steph, from Jimmy, from Pajemski, from Moody, from Melton, from a number of other guys to win the game 126-113. All right, let's hear from Steve Kerr postgame. I know that today was an interesting day in the Warriors' world because it was the day that Jonathan Kuminga could officially be traded. As of this second, nothing has happened. I don't expect anything to happen today. I don't expect anything to happen tomorrow. Give it a few more days at least, and maybe we'll get a little somewhere. There is a text that I want to refer to on the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. I will get to that before I'm out of here tonight. 415, I see your question. You're asking about the Gee injury and if that impacts a Kuminga trade. I will get to that 415, but I want to hear from Steve first. I haven't listened to Steve yet. I want to hear if he addressed anything as it relates to Kuminga. I know he talked about it pregame. He said essentially this is a tough situation. That's all I'm going to say about it. We'll see what he has to say about it here postgame, and then we'll tackle that question together because I do think it is a good one that we should be talking about. Before we go to Steve Kerr, I want to remind you that you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, and Odyssey Sports Station, and the home of the Golden State Warriors and Valkyries. Always live on the free Odyssey app, coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios. And I don't mean to tease you, but I don't mean to, lie. I'm not lying. We're going to get to Steve Kerr in a sec, but we did just get a call come in that I do want to get to as well. So let's go to Eric in Millbrae. If you want to line up the calls as well, you can do so at 888-957-9570. Kerr coming up in just a couple of minutes, but first, Eric in Millbrae, who was at Chase Center tonight. What's up, Eric? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up. What do you got?
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, after that, when they were down early, we're thinking, oh, boy, is it going to be one of those bad losses in a game they should take care of, especially with Brunson out, spraining his ankle? And luckily, as you mentioned, Moody was fantastic tonight. He was huge. Game ball to him, his criticism he gets. And when that guy is on, he really comes to play. And I like that attitude that he has, even though despite where he can be inconsistent. But to me, Jimmy Buckets, man, this was a game that he needed to have. And he needs to have a lot more of these games. These type of games tonight has been far between because he's got to take that scoring load off Curry. And when he's playing at his best, like tonight, being efficient and taking the load off Curry, that's when the Warriors are at their best part of basketball. So I hope we see a lot of this more from Butler because it's been we haven't seen these type of performances too often from him. It's just two in stretches here and there. But Curry was himself. But overall, you got to say they really got together and really took it to the Knicks second half. So I'm just hoping that this is a good stretch. Even though it's doom and gloom for a lot of Warrior fans, this is probably the best stretch of basketball they played probably since the whole season. So I just hope they continue with this, take advantage of the home record like we said they would. You got 2 winnable games upcoming. I'm not going to overlook them because just when the Warriors think they're rolling, they lose when you expect them, least expect them to lose. So you took care of business tonight against a tough team, even though they were without their star player. And hopefully, man, they can finish out stretch here. And luckily, they're getting a couple teams ahead of them are starting to drop off a little bit. And who knows, you're getting a little hot here. So I hope this continues despite all the Kuminga drama. I like where the Warriors are going. They got their head nose grinding, just win the games you're supposed to, split on the road. And let's see, hopefully you can maybe end up in the 6th seed if teams start to fall off a little ahead of you. But overall, good night after that red stretch. And I like where the Warriors are playing right now. So, not as bad as Dub Nation expected, so let's keep it going, man, and finish out strong in these last 2 home games. Thanks for the time, man.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Eric. I mean, you're right. There's no debate. This is the Warriors' best stretch of the season. They have had maybe smaller stretches of better play, like more impressive play with better wins, better quality wins, like over a shorter stretch. But if you're saying, like, let's take a 14 game sample size, because 14 games, they're 10-4. You could even say 15 games, 10-5 in those 15. They haven't had a stretch anywhere near this, right? Like, this is their best stretch of basketball, because early season was they go 4-1, then they go 1-4, then they go 4-1, then I think they were like 5-9 in a 14-game stretch, something like that, and now they're 10-4 in a 14-game stretch. So, like, it has kind of been yin and yang. It's either they're on a bit of a streak, or they're off of a bit of a streak, or they're on a losing streak as opposed to a winning streak. This has been the most extended, like, consistently positive momentum for the Warriors in a really, really long time. I mean, you have to go back to the regular season last year for the last time they played this good over an extended period. Now, you can poke holes in a lot of their games played in this stretch, right? And they have had the benefit of, in my opinion, like, a softer schedule, right? Like, in Brooklyn, all right, that's a team you should beat. In Charlotte, you should be able to beat that team. Utah at home, you should win that game. Milwaukee, they are a mess. They're booing Giannis and the Bucks in their home building in Milwaukee. That's what happened a couple of days ago. You need to dominate the Kings, as they did, although it was really close through 3 quarters just about. Atlanta's not a terrible team, but at home, it's a game you feel like you should win. You should dominate Portland. If they're down Avdija, you did that. You should dominate the Knicks tonight. If they're down a couple of their key players, including Jalen Brunson, you did that tonight. So, like, there are a lot of, well, these were games you should win. But, again, we can't really, be too upset about that or say that's not really the sign that this is a good Warrior team, because it's at least progress. Because for the beginning part of the season, I mean, how many games did they lose where they should not have lost? So maybe this doesn't leave you convinced that they're one of the 4 best teams in the conference, and I don't think anyone's saying that right now. Maybe if they continue this stretch, they'll eventually get there. Maybe you feel that way eventually. But right now, I don't think anybody can argue that this is not progress for the Warriors. It absolutely is some progress right now. All right, let's go out to Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr addressing the media postgame after the Warriors knocked off the Knicks 126-113. The Dubs now 23-19, and they're 10-4 in their last 14 games. Here is Steve Kerr addressing the media postgame, talking about this Warrior win over the Knicks.
You talked before the game about Moses being aggressive, and then the shots come. Obviously, he made a lot of them tonight. Did you just see it, the energy kind of leads to the shooting? Or does the shooting lead to the energy? How does that all work, we think, with him?
The last 2 games, I think the energy that he brought, just right from the beginning, I think helped just with everything. When you bring that kind of activity level defensively and, chasing offensive boards, the ball tends to go in more. I don't know why, but I think Moses has been great the last couple games and much more aggressive.
And you called it ATO for him, the flare screen all the way around the corner.
Yeah, that was Terry's play. It was like an old Portland play that he liked to run, and we called a couple of those, and then most of his shots just came out of the flow of the offense, and I thought the guys did a really good job of getting each other really good looks tonight, running the floor, throwing the ball ahead, a lot of good stuff.
Knicks take a 17-point lead pretty early on, and then Jimmy in that second unit comes in and gets the game back under control. What sort of changed after Jimmy and them sort of settled things down?
Yeah, that was the key stretch of the game, to go from down 17 to only down 5 at the end of the first quarter. It just felt totally different. So they came in and turned up the heat defensively, got some turnovers, some transition hoops, and Jimmy is... he was incredible tonight. I mean, he's so good. He's so dominant in a very subtle way. He just controls the game. He never turns it over. Creates shots for other people, and with the emergence of DeAnthony and Al, and the consistency that they're showing off the bench. Now we have a really, really good second unit around Jimmy, so it's fun to watch.
Hey, Steve, just asked Steph whether he thought that the team is starting to get back to the place where you guys were last year, kind of heading towards the playoffs and in the playoffs. And he said that, the team still has a long way to go. I wonder just kind of what's your thoughts on where the team is compared to where you guys left off last year, and if you echo those sentiments.
Well, we're different. We're a different team. Last year, we went on a great run, down the stretch of the season. Jimmy was only here for 30 games, and it just felt like a sprint. This is the marathon all year long. It's a much different dynamic when you're playing 82 versus, playing 30. And so we're in it for the long haul, but we have Melt, we have Al, we have a different team this year than we had last year, but we're starting to catch some momentum and playing pretty well.
Steve, kind of following up on Tim's question about Moses, what does that do for that starting unit when he's making shots like he has the last 2 games? I mean, now, that's obviously a big part of his role in that group.
Yeah, I mean, he's he's out there because he's a good defensive player, and he guards generally the best perimeter player right out of the gate, and then he's a very good 3-point shooter. He went through a little bit of a cold spell, but catching fire the last couple games, and it's fun to see him shoot the ball like that. But yeah, I mean, you've got multiple playmakers out there in that starting lineup with Jimmy and Draymond and Steph, so he's going to find some open looks out there, and this is great. When he can knock them down, it's a huge factor.
What kind of groove is Brandon finding?
He's great. I mean, he's just playing with so much confidence. He does so many things out there. He's a secondary ball handler. He's a rebounder. He's a really good defensive player, better than people think, especially off the ball. He kind of creates a lot of chaos, just kind of roaming, but he's playing with a lot of confidence.
And how's Guy doing? Guy?
I talked to him at halftime. He said he didn't think it was a bad sprain, but I haven't talked to Rick yet, so we'll see. I don't have any update.
I was wondering, what do you think is causing Brandon to play with more confidence? Is it just a matter of him making shots or a defined role?
I don't know. The season is long, and all these guys are human. They go through ups and downs, and sometimes you're in rhythm, sometimes you're not. And young players especially go through a little more adversity. And but he's been a really good player, since we got him as a rookie, and I think he's getting better. He's really in a good groove.
Hey, Steve. The Athletic published an article today where they basically asked people in sports to rank 5 leaders that they most admired in 2025. You were first. Steph was third. What does
Finally beat Steph.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
There you go. What does it mean to you to have that type of impact on your peers?
Somebody sent me that today, and it was incredibly flattering. I was blown away. Didn't know that was a thing, first of all, but just really flattered that people would say those things, and yeah, I mean, I've been so lucky to be here in this organization and with Steph. I mean, the easiest way to be a good leader is if you have a partner like Steph, because I think leadership within the team is the most important thing for any team. Is coaches are important, but people like Steph Curry are just so valuable, not just on the floor, but the internal leadership that he brings is incredible, and it makes my job dramatically easier.
You've talked about the dog days and trying to get through them. 4-1 on this homestand. Do wins during the dog days sort of feel more impactful? Do they kind of help you get through that?
When do they feel what more
impactful?
Impactful?
Yeah.
Meaning what? Like
do they help you kind of get through those dog days a little bit more?
Does what help you get through the dog days?
The wins.
Oh, wins, yeah. Wins helps everything. Yeah. No, it's I mean, honestly, what has helped is playing all these home games in a row and not having back-to-backs. So, the last 10 days or so, we've been at home, no back-to-backs, no airplane rides. Everyone's more comfortable, more physically and emotionally prepared, just having days off in between games. So this is an important stretch for us. We need to finish this homestand off well, though. We've got 3 and 4 nights starting Saturday, and Charlotte's playing great right now. Toronto and Miami are tough. So, if we could finish this homestand off in a really positive way, then I think it'll feel good, heading back out on the road. Thanks.
All right, that's Steve Kerr post-game after the Warriors knocked off the Knicks 126-113. Dubs now 23-19. They've won 10 of their last 14 games. Couple things there. He was asked about Guy Santos, and he mentioned an ankle sprain, an ankle roll. It happened in the first quarter, late in the first quarter. Kind of awkward. There was not quite a fast break for the Knicks. It might have been McBride who had the ball in the right wing. I can't remember. Just across half court, and Guy was racing back to get up the floor defensively and kind of awkwardly collided with Josh Hart around half court. And in the collision, somehow his ankle rolled. And the way he reacted, it looked like it was really, really bad. And he stayed down on the court for quite a bit. Eventually was helped off the floor, wasn't putting a ton of weight on the ankle. It was the left ankle. He did not return. Warriors ruled him out pretty quickly in the second quarter. But Steve Kerr, speaking their postgame, said that Guy doesn't think it's that serious. So that is good news there. Guy Santos maybe has avoided a serious injury. I don't imagine he's going to be playing coming up on Saturday when Charlotte is in town, but we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that, of course. And then the other thing that Steve mentioned, which I think is really interesting, it's somebody asked him, I can't recall who it was, but somebody asked him about what's different, or if you feel like this is kind of similar to the stretch the Warriors were in at the end of last regular season. And the Warriors were 23-8 in 31 games post-Jimmy Butler trade to close the regular season, to climb their way nearly out of the play-in. They just missed it, but they were close, and they were playing some of the best basketball in the entire NBA during that stretch. And right now the Warriors are 10-4 in their last 14. So how does this, kind of compare to that? And what Steve said was, well, that was a sprint, and this right now is more of a marathon. And, of course, the entire season is a marathon, and right now the Warriors have 40 games left. When they acquired Jimmy last year, they had 31 games left. So it's not the same amount of games, but it's not like a gigantic difference. And you look at where the Warriors were last year, around this time versus where they are now, it's a difference of a game or 2 games. So it's not really all that different. And if the Warriors don't start playing better basketball, or continue playing this better basketball and keep it going, they will be stuck in the very same spot they were last year, which is needing to sprint to the finish line over a long stretch of the season. So, for example, I mentioned this on our last Warriors wrap-up after the win over the Blazers. Right now, the current 6th seed is the Rockets. They are pacing at 51 wins. Over the course of 82 games, they are on pace to win 51 games. For the Warriors to get to 51 games, if you include tonight, they would 51 wins, including tonight, they would need to go 29-12 to close the season. With tonight's win, they now need to go 28-12. Not impossible, but that's basically the same winning percentage that the Warriors had in the final 31 games with Jimmy last year when they went 23-8. So, yeah, like the Warriors have more time to play with, but in terms of the ground they need to make up, it is relatively similar, and you might need a similar stretch of play to get the job done. And the job I'm talking about is avoiding the play-in and being a top 6 seed in the Western Conference. Now, again, the Rockets could fall off. The Suns ahead of them could also fall off. Maybe the Lakers continue to fall, although Austin Reeves is going to be back soon, and they will probably figure things out a little bit more than they are currently. But if they don't get some help from the others, they're going to have to play basically the same kind of basketball they played for the final 31 last year over the final 40 this year to get out of the play-in. Doesn't mean it can't happen. It also doesn't mean you can't be successful out of the play-in. Because, they won a postseason series last year out of the play-in. But we'll see how it all goes. That's just something to keep an eye on as we continue kind of, making our way into the second half of this season. Tonight was the official begin of the second half, right? The All-Star break is the unofficial halfway point. That's well past the halfway point. Tonight was game 42. There are only 40 games left for the Warriors. You're getting to a point where you start scoreboard watching. And speaking of scoreboard watching, I teased this earlier. Let's take a look at some of the important scores from the Western Conference. First of all, the team directly ahead of the Warriors. The Suns are 7th in the Western Conference. They lost to the Pistons today. The Pistons 108, the Suns 105. A crazy fourth quarter. The Suns only scored 15 points in that fourth quarter. But the Suns lose, so the Warriors gained a full game on Phoenix. The Warriors entered the day a game or 2.5 games behind Phoenix for the 7. The Warriors win, the Suns lose. The Warriors now a game and a half behind the Phoenix Suns. The Suns have lost 2 games in a row, so the Warriors have gained 2 games on the Suns in the last 3 days. The last time these two teams have played, each of the last, they played on the same days. They both played on Tuesday, and they both played today. So that's good news for the Warriors. Elsewhere in the West, the team 2 spots ahead of the Warriors for that coveted 6th spot in the West, the Houston Rockets. They lost to the OKC Thunder today. They got dominated in the fourth quarter. This was a tight game going into the fourth, and then the Thunder outscored the Rockets 34-16 in the fourth, and the Thunder win 111-91. That was the final there, so the Warriors gain a game on the Rockets. Warriors now only 2 games behind the Rockets for the 6th seed in the Western Conference. So a game and a half behind Phoenix for 7 and 2 games behind Houston for 6. All right, that's some good news there as well. What about elsewhere in the Western Conference? Well, the Spurs won. They're too far ahead of the Warriors, I think, to really be too worried about them. The team right behind the Warriors, the Blazers lost, or pardon me, they won. Excuse me, they did win, so they stay on the heels of the Warriors. Did not get the result they wanted there. The Hawks fall to the Blazers, but the other positive result is one of the teams that is really struggling in the West right now. The Lakers lost to the Hornets. The Hornets put up 135 points on the Lakers in LA. LaMelo Ball had himself one hell of a game in that one. Hornets win 135-117, which means the Warriors are now just 2.5 games behind the Lakers for the 5. So everything I said about, you know, how difficult it might be to climb up to the 6, you got to win whatever it was, 29-12, now 28-12 over the final 40 to get up to that spot. That might not be true, because if those teams ahead of you start losing games at a higher clip than they have so far this season, that 6th seed becomes more manageable to get to. So we'll see, but the 3 teams directly ahead of the Warriors all lost. The Lakers, the Rockets, and the Suns all lost. The Warriors won, so the Warriors have gained a game tonight on all of those teams. They entered tonight 3.5 behind the Lakers, 3 behind the Rockets, 2.5 behind the Suns. Now they're only 2.5 behind the Lakers, 2 behind the Rockets, and 1.5 behind the Suns. So today was a very productive day for the Warriors in the Western Conference standings. There's no doubt about that. Before we get out of here, and I want to give a shout-out to Kaya by Burmalove for setting me up here at Thrive City. Kaya by Burmalove right next to Gott's here in the Thrive City West Plaza. Before we get out of here tonight, I do want to, let's see, I want to go back to what the 415 texted in on the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. The 415 wrote, do you think the injury to Guy changes any of the calculus with Kuminga being traded? Who might they target and how soon? Well, 415, I don't think the Guy Santos injury changes all that much. Guy is a player that the Warriors turn to for short bursts of energy, and that's just simply not who Kuminga has been at any point of his career, in my opinion. You look into the numbers, and the eye test supports it as well. Kuminga kind of feels his way into games, and this is how a lot of players are. This is not unique to Kuminga, but the longer he plays, the more he generally can impact a game. If he's playing, a 5-minute burst here and a 5-minute burst there, generally he hasn't been able to have a super positive impact the way that Guy does, just because of his incredible hustle, diving on the floor for loose balls, fighting for offensive rebounds, right? Like those kinds of plays is what makes Guy successful in short bursts. It hasn't been that way for Kuminga because I don't think he's shown that kind of ability over short bursts. So with Guy out, it's not as if the Warriors are looking to replace a guy that's playing 25 minutes a night. And if that's not the case, if the Warriors don't have 25 minutes a night to hand Kuminga, then I don't think they're going to play him less than that, because to them, and I think it's fair, he hasn't proven the ability to be a consistent positive unless he's getting more minutes, and there's just not more minutes available to him. Now, to answer the second part of your question, 415, who might they target and how soon? I think it's a very good question because there's so many people out there that are so convinced the situation is so toxic and so awkward that a trade is impending and it's about to happen. I don't feel that confident that it's going to happen very soon. I do feel confident that it will happen eventually. The Warriors have less than 3 weeks now. 3 weeks from today is the trade deadline, February 5th. It is a February 5th deadline at noon Pacific. So noon on February 5th, noon Pacific time, is the trade deadline. If I were a betting man, I would bet that a trade would happen before that day. But is a trade going to happen tomorrow? Is a trade going to happen this weekend? Is a trade going to happen before a week from now? Is it going to happen by next Thursday? Is it going to happen by the end of the month? I don't know. I think it's going to take a little bit longer than people think. I don't think the locker room is as awkward as people make it out to be about this. I think Kuminga has a ton of support in the locker room. There's no doubt the relationship between Steve Kerr specifically and Kuminga has been majorly fractured and probably to the point of no repair. It's why Kuminga officially demanded a trade today. Now that to me sounds kind of silly because the Warriors, I think, have pretty actively been trying to trade him for some time now. So I don't know what the trade demand really does other than, maybe officially state that he no longer wants to be a Warrior. But I think we knew that for quite a while. In some of the conversations I've had with people close to the situation, I don't think the Warriors are close too much right now. And what I've heard is they might not be interested in a lot of the players that are rumored to be available. Malik Monk, of course, is like player number one that comes to mind from the Sacramento Kings. I don't think the Warriors want anything to do with Malik Monk. I don't think they want anything to do with really most of the Kings roster. They'd be interested in maybe a Keon Ellis or somebody like that, but they would need more on top of that. But they don't want DeMar DeRozan, right? They don't want anybody of that ilk. They don't want Malik Monk. A player who they would absolutely have interest in, Trey Murphy from the Pelicans, has basically been pulled off the trading block. Now, this might be posturing, but the Pelicans have said they are not going to be trading anybody ahead of the trade deadline. Now, maybe that just means you have to really wow them with an offer. Like, everybody has a price. But from what I've heard, and maybe you think this is right, the Warriors don't want to be giving up 2, 3, 4 first-round draft picks in order to get a player like a Trey Murphy. I have largely felt that they would not want a player like Michael Porter Jr., although I think he would fit well. He doesn't strike me as the Warrior kind of player. But at this point, I don't think beggars can be choosers. And what I have heard is that they don't have that much interest in Michael Porter Jr. So I think just putting some puzzle pieces together based on the conversations that I've had with some people that are in the know in these sorts of conversations, there's not a lot out there currently, at least from what I've heard. I'm sure there's a whole lot that I do not know about, but what I've heard at least is that some of the names that we've heard bandied about and reported about as potential players the Warriors might be interested in, I don't think they have a ton of interest in. Or at least, if there are some players they might have interest in, they're not willing to meet the asking price of that team that would potentially be trading them. So putting all that together, I do not think that a trade is happening, say, in the next few days. I would expect this to drag out probably to the end of the month and maybe get something done early February before that February 5th trade deadline. I would just venture that it's going to take a little bit longer than people think. But I would still ultimately say that a trade is going to happen because I don't know how this relationship can continue. Kuminga, for the second straight game, was not with the team for warm-ups tonight, walked out onto the floor with about a minute left before the national anthem, took a couple of shots, and that was it. And then after the national anthem, went back down the tunnel and then rejoined the bench after the game had already begun. It is an awkward fit, specifically with Steve Kerr and Jonathan Kuminga. I don't think any of those players hold any ill will toward him. Jimmy Butler has said as much multiple times. I heard Draymond Green talking on the Amazon broadcast, the Prime Video broadcast postgame. He said all of the same things as well. Everything from the players has been nothing but complimentary of the way Kuminga is handling this situation. I don't think there's pressure from the players to get something done ASAP to, help the locker room. I don't think the locker room needs help. Now, the Warriors as a team need help. They're playing good basketball right now, but there's $23 million sitting on the bench unused. The Warriors would love to utilize that money, which I think is why a trade will eventually happen. But I don't think the awkwardness is so imposing that it's going to force something to happen right this very instant to get the problem away. I don't think that's how this situation is at all. So I would venture to guess it's going to take a little bit longer than maybe we all expect. But we shall see. All right. That's going to wrap things up here for Warriors Wrap Up tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in, and a shout-out as well to Kaya by Burma Love for hosting me tonight. We were here for Willard and Dibbs from 2 to 6. I hosted Warriors Live from here as well, and now Warriors Wrap Up. I tried their Game Day Burma box, which was very good, $15. You get a choice of either curry or noodles with a side of rice, veggies, vegetarian samosas, and house tangy spicy sauce. They also offer a lot of great drinks, including a Warriors-themed item, the Los Warriors cocktail. It features tequila blanco, Thai chili infused, mango pulp, mango liqueur, triple sec, and lime with a blue agave salt rim. Delicious. I did not have one tonight. This is a working night for me, but I might stop by at some other time when I'm not working and grab myself a taste of that, because that does sound pretty darn good. But it's Kaya by Burma Love, a great spot pregame to grab something to drink, something to eat, and also tonight a great spot postgame as well. All right, that'll do it for Warriors Wrap Up tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate all the interaction on the phone lines, on the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line, on the YouTube chat as well. Thank you for hanging out with me on this Thursday evening. Shout out as well to Cam Williams back in our downtown San Francisco studios, pulling double duty tonight. We appreciate it as always, Mr. Williams. All right, that'll do it for me tonight from Kaya by Burma Love at Thrive City. Thank you for tuning in. I will be back with you on Saturday. Hopefully you join me. I think there's another big game in the Bay happening on Saturday when the Warriors host the Charlotte Hornets. Warriors play at 5:30. I think the might be some football game going on Saturday at 5. A pretty big one, if I'm not mistaken. But I'll be here at Chase keeping my eye on Niners and Seahawks. There's no doubt. But I've got you covered for Warriors and Hornets coming up on Saturday as well. All right, that'll do it. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Mark Randy signing off. We'll talk Saturday on 95.7 The Game.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched